lot of people know you as the creator of the OnlyShans movement, which is just freaking hilarious.
Co-creator also, though. I can't take all the credit, but yeah.
Who else?
Me and Jordan.
Okay.
Splash Cousin.
Hilarious. Splash Cousin. Shout out Splash Cousin. He's great. So OnlyShans, if you don't understand the concept, it's like OnlyFans, but for Shanahan fans, because the idea is that his play designs are obscenely good. You know what I'm saying? And they really are. So my question to you is the co-creator of the OnlyShans movement starting to lose confidence in Kyle Shanahan?
I'm not, because the front office isn't. If there's one person that I know is going to be here for a little while, it's going to be Kyle. I'll tell you this. I'm not losing confidence in Coach. I am afraid of Jed and the higher-ups panicking and making a move based on, 4 losing records, 5 seasons. Okay, so have I lost confidence in Kyle? No.
Okay.
Am I confident that they will see him through? That's where I get a little nervous.
You know who got fired after 4 losing seasons in 5 years in his first stint in Cleveland? Bill Belichick. That's right.
So this is my biggest fear. This is a nightmare that I have. The Dwayne Wade commercial where he wakes up, out in cold sweat? Here's my fear. The 49ers get rid of Shanahan. He goes somewhere else and wins that championship. And I have a nightmare of seeing him in another team's jersey, raising that Lombardi, knowing that it full well could be us as long as you see it through. Look, is Coach perfect? No. Has Coach made some oversights and sometimes I don't agree with his personnel decisions? Yeah, I do. I have issues with it at times. But I still have belief that because of his system, and another thing that I want to point out is, think about how many teams are trying to replicate Shanahan's system, right?
True.
We're going to move from 7 to 10 teams now that are going to be running some variation of Shanahan's system. It's a copycat league, and everybody is trying their best to copy him. My fear isn't in him. I've not lost an ounce of confidence in him when it comes to play calling and play designing. I'm just afraid that if we get another year or two of subpar results, that something drastic happens pretty quickly, and then the fruits of his labor will be seen somewhere else, that's my biggest fear.
Okay, first off, the quarterback issue is his issue. His inability to find an answer at the quarterback position has to fall on his shoulders. And is that causing you to lose confidence in him? I mean, I know you like his play designs and his system, but ultimately it's not going to work without the right quarterback. And he could have had Stafford. He could have had Brady. I mean, he keeps passing and waiting and waiting.
So I think the one that I feel the worst about, the Brady thing, I think was more, again, I think it was more about like the money didn't line up. Like, it's not that it didn't, it's not that I'm like, oh, we're good on you. It's just, we're good on you at this price, which, right now, they just raised the trophy. Right now, that looks bad, right? Mm-hmm. I am more worried about the waiting for Cousins and not evaluating Mahomes and Watson. Mm-hmm. That's the one that really kind of bothers me more, because you could have had either of those guys for cheap, for 4 years.
Didn't you want them to go after Stafford?
I did too. I did. So, see, but here's the problem with that. The conflicting reports. I know that everybody thinks that there was no offer made. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. I really don't. And it's hard to take things at face value when one person says something, another person says another thing. We're hearing different things. So for me, when I hear that they didn't put an offer in, I don't know how much I believe that. I really don't. And one thing that I want to put out there, and I'm not trying to put on a tinfoil hat, your favorite media members, they're not always reporting exactly what happened. Sometimes they're fed something to say, and this is how they continue to be in good standing with teams. They are mouthpieces for people in the organization to put fires out.
It's true.
Because they can go to the negotiation table and say, see, this guy said we weren't involved. We weren't involved. I promise.
Sure. Yep.
That's my issue with the Stafford thing. I'm not going to kill him for that because, one, the Rams probably overshot any sort of offer. And 2, I don't know if there was no offer made. So I do want to see them swing big. I would love that. That's, I guess, what your point is saying with that. I would love them to swing big. But the Cousins over Watson and Mahomes thing, that's the one that bothers me the most of all of the quarterback decisions, if you ask me.
Okay, one more question. You mentioned that you love his system. And it is the system in the league right now. It's trying to be replicated all over all over the NFL, and the system is important. It is important. But I got to say, in every sport, not just NFL, the mark of a great head coach is a guy who doesn't have a system, but a guy who builds it for what his players have. I'll give you an example. Nick Saban, okay, great coach. He's a defensive coach, right? Every year, his defense gives up tons of points in the big games. You know why? Because he has 5-star quarterbacks. He's winning with offense. He looks at his recruits and is like, you know what? We don't necessarily have to win with defense. And he can build championship teams in a million different ways. And, you know, all the greats in all the different sports can do that. My question with Kyle is, Kyle, like John Gruden, are you a system coach? Is your number one contribution to this team a system? If so, great. You're a hell of an offensive coordinator, but you're not a head coach. What do you say to that?
No, I think he is a head coach. Look, again, learning people. Here's my point about this. Andy Reid won a Super Bowl last year, right? If he doesn't win that Super Bowl, what's the reputation around Andy Reid? And he's been in the league how long?
Hey, man, I'm not very high on Andy Reid right now. Right now, I'm looking at him as like, dude, you coached like crap in 2 Super Bowls. And the difference is your great all-world quarterback bailed you out in one of them. That's the way I look at Andy Reid. I'm not impressed.
So if the 49ers win that 2019 Super Bowl, can't manage the clock, can't win the big one, he's been in the league 20-something years. I think that people want to rush the process because Kyle's a genius and everything. Oh, in 5 years, you haven't done it yet. Well, how many people won a Super Bowl in their first 5 years? And it's hard to find those guys. There's you know, John Gruden won a Super Bowl, in his 3rd year as a head coach? But there's context around that. That's not, you know, that he changed the culture there. The Bucs were an amazing team, had one of the best defenses of all time. And the truth is,
it was his second team. I mean, he had been with the Raiders. Yeah.
And the truth is, you know, like you said, John Gruden's an offensive guy. The truth is, and nobody ever wants to remember, is Tony Dungy's offenses actually scored more points than his offense. But again, that's my problem. When you're a coach and you're not good at one thing, the thing that you're supposed to be good at, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Okay. Final question. If Kyle brings Jimmy Garoppolo back for this season and he gets hurt again and the Niners go 7-9 or worse, 8-8 or worse, will you at that point lose confidence in Kyle Shanahan?
I won't, but they will.
Okay.
You know, that's the thing. I think, you know, when the Super Bowl happens in 2019, you just start to expect, all right, this is where we're going to be every year, right? He hasn't out this year. Everybody was injured. So that's another thing, right? So you have to put that into context. So look, I won't lose confidence, but again, my confidence will wane because of Jed York and their decision-making. And sometimes they don't always make the right decision when it comes to coach, and coach will end up being somewhere else. Like, look, if Kyle Shanahan, as much as we just talked about, if Kyle Shanahan was booted today, how many franchises are lining up to have him as his coach?
A lot.
Probably 28 to 30, right?
Yes,
that's my point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna put it this way. Final question: is there anything Kyle Shanahan could do in the next 12 months that would have your confidence waver in him?
If I see you, you know, playing like Brian Allen, you know, you know, if I see, because he's in charge of personnel. You know, a lot of people want to give solid crap about that, but that's not the case. You know, when you hear that Brian Allen is up for that game, that's not good. You know, sometimes with because I don't have a problem with the pass calls, right? Like he's calling wide open throws, they're just not being hit all the time. I think the quarterback situation, like if it's not addressed, you know, and it doesn't get any better, like look, if Kyle wants to roll with Jimmy, cool, but you got to make it work. It's on you. Right? Whatever decision you make, it's on you. And then you got to deal with the consequences. If you run with Jimmy, it's on you.
That's what I'm asking you. I think that's fair, man. You bring Jimmy back and it works out, great. But it doesn't, I'm going to have to, because I'm not in the OnlyShans, but I do respect him. He's very good at what he does. But if he brings back Jimmy Garoppolo, and we all know how he really feels about him, if he brings him back like holding his nose and it doesn't work out, I'm just starting to lose sympathy. Sorry, man. It's who you wanted.
Yeah. Right. I mean, and that's the thing, right? So that's why I said this is such a crucial offseason. No matter what he picks, okay, Kyle, I trust you. But if you don't make it work, then you got to know what's coming next. And that's where things will get a little hairy.